So udon noodles, who doesn't love a delicious Japanese udon? And tonight I'm gonna make a tempura udon for dinner. This is actually pretty easy and probably easier than you think. So let's give it a go.
So I'm going to start with the udon soup. Now the easiest way to make this is just with some dashi powder. And dashi powder is basically just a base stock for most Japanese soups. You can opt to buy a vegetarian option if you want, and it's made with kombu, an edible kelp. Add your sachet to a pan with about a cup of water simmering and dissolve. I'm adding some bonito flakes, which are dried smoked fish. This just helps to boost the flavour, but it's optional. Then add 1 teaspoon of mirin, which is a sweet rice wine. I also like to add half a teaspoon of rice wine vinegar, just for a little bit of a kick. Then add a teaspoon of soy sauce. It's important to taste the soup so you can adjust its sweetness and saltiness.
So there we go, simple as that. Our delicious udon soup or sauce is now done. So let's head on to the exciting part, the tempura. So I've got 3 different vegetables today I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using some sweet potato, I've got some pumpkin, and I also have some shiitake mushrooms. Now, I haven't made a lot of tempura to be honest, but from what I understand, it's better to go with less wet or less moist vegetables like zucchinis, or even especially things like tomatoes or cucumber or anything like that, because there's so much water that they'll explode when you deep fry them. So I think pretty safe with these, and the mushrooms should be quite nice. I also have some prawns, so I'm gonna show you how to prepare them. The vegetables are easier to slice them, but prawns is a little bit of a trick.
Firstly, to prepare your prawns, you want to clean off the dark part of the tail. Scrape your knife gently to remove it. I also like to cut the very end part of the tail off so it looks a little bit neater. Now for the tricky part. To straighten the prawn out, you need to make diagonal shallow slices along its belly. Don't worry, they don't need to be perfect. You can just see they instantly straighten out. And to stop them curling up again when they cook, you need to gently squeeze them to break their muscles. Sorry, I know this sounds really morbid, but it's just the way it's done. You should be able to feel little pops when you do this. Now onto the vegetables. I'm just slicing my mushrooms in half. Oh, and I forgot to show you, I made small slices where I cut them to help any excess moisture escape while they cook. Now for the sweet potato. I want to cut fairly thin slices, probably about 1/2 centimetre thick, and it needs to be able to cook evenly inside without burning the batter. Similarly with the pumpkin, I'm slicing it evenly. I like to keep the skin on. I think it cooks nicely, and I like to think it helps hold the pumpkin together. Now onto the batter. First things first, all ingredients need to be cold to stop the gluten developing. I actually even kept the flour in the fridge. You can use all-purpose flour, but I bought this tempura flour. It has additives like baking powder to help the batter bubble, and some spices such as white pepper and salt to flavour it. Crack 1 egg into a bowl and add 1 cup of cold water. Now gently mix in 1 cup of flour and make sure not to overmix. Now onto the deep frying. You can use a pot with vegetable oil, but today I'm just going to use my deep fryer. I'm cooking the tempura at 180 degrees Celsius for about 3 to 4 minutes, or until the batter is a pale gold and crispy. Beginning with the prawns, dip each prawn into the tempura batter, allowing for the excess to drip off, then slowly lower it into the hot oil. Add them too fast and they could curl up again. Make sure not to overcrowd the oil either. Once the prawns are cooked, place them spread out on a plate and salt them immediately. I always like to cook a few extra to snack on while I'm cooking the rest of the vegetables. Now repeat the process with the rest of the vegetables and soak up any of the excess oil off the plate with the paper towel. I found that the pumpkin, sweet potato and mushrooms all turned out really well. I love the light and crispy batter and the soft interior of the vegetables. When you're almost done deep frying, bring your soup back to the stove to heat up and bring a pot of water to the boil. I like to use frozen udon noodles over dried. Their texture and taste is far superior. They're in the frozen Asian section in my local supermarket. Place the frozen noodles into boiling water and gently stir, gently moving them apart. They should be cooked in about 3 to 4 minutes. Now to assemble the dish. Finally, place your noodles in your bowl, pour over the soup, and make sure to strain out any bonito flakes if you added them. Grab your delicious tempura and place a few pieces of each on top of the noodles. This can be a little tricky because you don't want the tempura submerged for too long, otherwise they'll lose their crispiness. I actually even ended up removing some of the soup. Finally, throw in some chopped green onions, and here we go, a delicious steamy bowl of udon soup with some crispy tempura.
And see, I did say it is pretty easy, a few little steps, but nice and simple. I've even got some batter and some veggies left over to maybe make some again tomorrow. So, but anyway, I promise it's amazing and I am so excited to dive in. But thanks for watching. See you guys next time.